So, Rich, do you remember when Star Trek used to have singular individual episodes with a beginning, a middle, and an end?
I remember when
Welcome to Star Trek Review, Star Trek Picard.
An unmitigated disaster.
In the show's defense, do they even call it Star Trek Picard, or do they just call it Picard?
No, it's called Star Trek
It's called
Picard.
Star Trek Picard is the official title.
It has nothing to do with Star Trek or Picard, though.
But in other news, something actually happened in the show.
What?
They went to a planet.
Oh, right. So let's talk about episodes 4 and 5.
4 and 5.
The first one, Absolute Candor, was an absolute waste of time.
Yes.
Picard says, while we're going to Freeport, Freewheel, Freeball?
Free space?
Free space?
No.
Canto Bight? While we're going to the planet that looks like a video game land, let's make a pit stop at Vashti, the Romulan settlement camp.
You want to know what confused me? Picard is all up on this saving Soji business. Like we got to save this girl. I'm coming out of my retirement. I am leaving my vineyard so I can save my friend's daughter. I need to save her. That's very important. And then we get to episode 4. She's probably dead.
Daja's sister is in grave danger. She may already be dead.
I want to see this kid I used to know 14 years ago. That's his reasoning for the detour. She's probably dead.
I may never pass this way again.
Why? Because one of the aspects of Picard's character is that he doesn't like
children?
So we need a little storyline where, for no reason at all, 14 years ago, he goes to the settlement camp and is reading bedtime stories to a little Romulan boy for no reason at all, even though it has nothing to do with his character. Oh, here's Devil's Advocate coming in.
Yeah, this is Devil's Advocate.
In the show's defense.
Devil's Advocate coming right, because I want to be fucking fair, Mike.
I understand.
And not just a jackass for the sake of being a jackass.
And I know people can change over time.
One of my issues with The Force Awakens, before I'm going to The Force Awakens, we see Han Solo, and he's doing he hasn't changed at all in the 40 years since we last see him. He's doing the same exact thing, wearing the same exact outfit.
The same underwear, too.
In the same underwear. He hasn't changed his underwear in 40 years. He hasn't changed. And so Picard, it's been a while since we've seen Picard. How much is fair character development? Because you did get the end of All Good Things, where he does, in fact, join the poker game for the first time ever. He is capable of change. Can we say that it's legitimate character growth that he's okay with children now? Is there any way we can justify that?
By that logic, you're saying that Harvey Weinstein can no longer be a rapist, right? Now he loves supporting women's causes and championing women's rights.
How did we get here? To be fair, though, if you're going to have character growth for Picard where he is okay with children now, when did that happen? We should see that or have a hint of it, maybe? I don't know.
You're right.
It seems very weird that suddenly he loves this child more than anything in the whole world when normally he hates children. It's very weird.
Well, the humanitarian philanthropist, whatever Picard is weird too. Like the activist Picard, right? Because that's essentially what he became in his senior years, was trying to save the Romulans, right?
Yeah.
Solely him.
Well, it's weird that the rest of the Federation wouldn't want to help other people, but this isn't Star Trek.
I mean, clearly there was a coalition of people because other people had to fly those spaceships, right? So there were other people that probably cared, but they didn't show them.
Yeah.
But as far as like top brass goes, it wasn't like, Picard and 10 other retired admirals and captains, and just you'd have a coalition of people, of top brass, of distinguished people, dignitaries, ambassadors. Where's Spock? Because Spock was about reunification, remember? Clearly Leonard Nimoy's dead, and you can have him in it. But the point is that you would have a whole group of people trying to help Picard.
Probably Spock more than anyone.
Sure. What happened?
Picard, I believe, was moving people over to this planet. And even though they apparently already had ships available to do this, because they had started, they stopped when the shipyard that makes more ships blew up. They couldn't use the pre-existing ships anymore that didn't blow up to keep saving people for some reason, I guess.
When they go to when the androids, the synths, right?
Yes.
I'm still fuzzy on this. Okay. The synths attacked the shipyards.
Yes.
On the surface of Mars was the industrial, grouping buildings and whatnot, right? Where all the maintenance people are. Maybe they still built ships in orbit. I don't know. But all the robots that look like Data, right? That one went nuts, reprogrammed and disabled the shield grid and started murdering people with a phaser, right?
Yes.
And then presumably the other androids also went nuts?
Presumably they all did, but I don't know.
Now, the ships that were flying in space and shooting lasers, were those also androids that look like the bald ones on the planet? Or are these mysterious synths that we have not seen yet?
I don't know.
That's not a good answer.
I'm sorry, I don't know. We just know that the robots went nuts and blew up Mars.
But where did these other robots come from? The ones that were flying spaceships?
They probably also work in Mars, building ships, normally, when they're not
But they had like
reprogrammed to go
attack
nuts.
fighters that were shooting lasers. Now, and then Picard and his fleet with the Romulans went to Mars? Were they at Mars?
No, because Picard was on the Romulan relocation planet when he heard about Mars.
Okay, so Romulans had already been relocated.
It sounds like something they had been doing.
What do you mean synths have attacked Mars?
And then the synths attacking the Federation shipyards
Yes.
had what to do with the Romulan relocation?
Presumably nothing other than they were building ships to relocate Romulans.
But the Federation is not building ships to move Romulans. Were they?
I have to assume they were.
Okay, but they already said no to the relocation at that point.
No, I think at that point they were going ahead with it. But then when Mars blew up, they decided to stop trying. The Federation gave up on
Because the
people.
Romulans had what to do with...
Nothing.
Because Romulans hate robots.
Yeah, but nobody knows this yet.
If the Romulans loved robots and they could put a fingerprint from the synth attack and trace it back to Romulans, then I could see them stopping the relocation project. But it seems like an unrelated incident.
Yes.
An unmitigated disaster.
Yes, I have no idea why the attack on Mars made the Federation give up on rescuing Romulans. I have no idea. Those two things should not be connected at all.
I think the Zhat Vash secretly loves robots, and they're behind the whole plan. Now let's talk about absolute candor. Picard says losing Daj, the one that blew up, has made him feel sad about abandoning Eleanor. And I want to visit the Romulan warrior nuns and my little nephew or best friend, child man, Eleanor. But the reason why he says he's like, maybe I can ask for the help from the Romulan warrior nuns because we need someone that could fight the Tal Shiar.
They are not assassins and you can't hire them.
Romulan warrior nuns.
That's a real thing?
Yeah.
They're going to physically fight the Tal Shiar.
It's a dumb action show, yes. He wants to hire a muscle to shoot people, kill people.
Okay. And then, but he's like real to Raffi. He's like, I'll never get in this part of space again, so I might as well stop by. That's his excuse. So he beams down. He discovers the planet is in much worse shape 14 years later.
It looks exactly the same.
Well,
It looks exactly the same as the last time we saw it.
things have degraded into the theme of the show, which is prejudice, hatred, xenophobia, prejudicial racism, nihilism, and classism. The wonderful, wonderful hallmarks of Star Trek, because they have the Romulans only sign on their little disgusting bar. You know what I find?
At least it's not humanity doing it, though.
I guess, but
what would be worse would be a bar on Earth that said no Romulans. That would be worse, and I could totally see them doing it.
I get the allegory for Romulans being refugees, you know, trying to move to another country, essentially, and live, and being destitute and whatever. But they go to this planet. It has this like super sophisticated planetary shield grid, and then on the surface are Romulans, right? And they're just like, for 14 years they just sit around in like the Wild West, like making bread and drinking beer and shooting each other. The Romulans are a super sophisticated, advanced culture.
Yeah.
That would probably land on that planet and in 14 years have built spaceships. Do you remember when Picard goes into the bar?
Yeah.
And then he gets confronted by the Romulan senator?
I want to know what the fuck Picard was doing.
Well, because
Picard is he's a fucking career diplomat. The reason I love the character of Picard so much is because after Kirk, TNG had the balls to go full cultured diplomat.
I don't care what others
You only care about what you can take.
Sovereign, if the situation were reversed, I'm sure you would be demanding equal levels of representation.
There is nothing swashbuckling about Picard. He is very respectful towards other fucking cultures. It's how he made his fucking career.
Mr. Worf, the Enterprise crew currently includes representatives from 13 planets. They each have their individual beliefs and values, and I respect them all.
And then here he is on this planet where not only the Federation let these people down, but Picard specifically let these people down. And he just goes and rips their sign off and just starts stepping on it. And then he sits right down in their bar and he just rubs it in their fucking faces. It's like, what the fuck was he doing? And why the fuck was he doing it? I thought, was Picard actually trying to goad a fight so that Elnor would have to help him? Was he trying to trick Elnor into helping him? Did he basically deliberately trick Elnor into beheading that former Romulan senator? And then did Picard immediately after goading Elnor into doing that, berate him for doing it? Or did Picard just decide to be an asshole and take these people he let down and then just rub his failure in their faces? Did he just do that to be a prick?
No, Picard was mad at the decline of Planet Vashti and how conditions had worsened. So he was basically saying, take your Romulans only sign, stick it. I'm gonna sit here because I'm a human. But then, okay, then the Romulan senator gets up and he's really mad at Picard. And he's like, how dare you show your face around here? And Picard's just like, why is everybody yelling at me? Wherever I go, someone yells at me. And the guy's like, you let us down. Picard's like, I did everything I could.
I did everything I could.
And then you gave up.
Picard fucking tried, and then he couldn't do it anymore. What else do they want from him? And or why is it his sole responsibility to save all the Romulans? Then the guy's like, he says, Romulans are a people of ingenuity and resolve.
You in Starfleet had no understanding of Romulan ingenuity, resolve, self-sufficiency.
And then he complains that this elderly man didn't help them.
So little to be expected from Starfleet.
And he says, and then Picard says, the Federation has failed you all.
The Federation has failed you all.
Mike.
Why is it the Federation's responsibility to save them?
So little to be expected from Starfleet.
Mike, you're looking too deep into everything.
They weren't even part of the Federation.
You're looking too deep into everything. We need a man with a sword who can cut people's heads off. He needs to join Picard's crew so he can cut people's heads off.
I'm just saying everything the Romulan senator said was contradictory.
No one asked for your pity, Picard.
I promised
You promise! You and Starfleet had no understanding of Romulan ingenuity, resolve, self-sufficiency, and then you gave up. So little to be expected from Starfleet.
I understand. No, he needed to get mad at Picard so that Elnor could cut his head off.
Okay. We got to get to the decapitation.
You have to get to the decapitation. The entire purpose of the episode is that so we can have a ninja on the show.
Am I making a mistake in trying to understand the story of the show?
They did not think about this at all.
And not just enjoying the violence? Is that my mistake? I'm just trying to understand like what happened with this whole thing.
Mike, Picard is going to be an in-depth, slower-paced character study on Picard, where we completely ignore all of Picard's character traits, so we can have a scene where a ninja beheads a former Romulan senator who now is a scuzzy bandit in a no-humans bar.
A helpless scuzzy bandit.
Yes. Now you understand. Mike, I don't think you understand how brilliant this show is.
Brexit?
An unmitigated disaster.
Well, let's talk about our two major elements of this show.
Yeah.
We have the Romulan sun exploding and Romulans being like refugees all over the galaxy,
Sure.
right? That's plot one, and plot two is something with the Borg, right?
Yes.
Which is all very vague at this point. It's Bruce Maddox creating two androids, presumably from a positron from Data, creating two sentient flesh and blood androids, which basically is a person, as we talked about. He created twins, Soji and Daj. Daj exploded. Soji was allowed to work on the artifact, and she's being monitored by two secret Romulan agents, a brother and sister.
Yes.
The sister is also a spy in Starfleet.
Yes.
And they think Soji is the chosen one, aka the destroyer. And it says,
Nonsense.
I'm telling you what happened.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying nonsense, but whatever.
They say, the lady says, Manjubana, Gamdamada, Gan Madamadan, aka the day of annihilation. The quote, shackled demons will answer the call of the destroyer, killing all life in the universe. And we've introduced the fact that the Tal Shiar are involved, and a sub-secret organization called the Jadvash, whose secret sole purpose is to hate android life forms.
Yeah.
Now I suspect there's a double twist where the Jadvash are funding and running the android project.
Okay.
Because with these two major storylines have to coincide.
Yeah.
And here's what's going to happen. The Romulans are not going to be the bad guys in the end, because we have a storyline where the Romulans are the victims, where they're the refugees of the evil Federation that didn't want to help them.
Yeah.
Right? They can't end up being the bad guys in the end. The bad guys in the end will be a very small number of Romulans called the Jatvash, and they're going to use Soji, aka the Destroyer, aka the new Borg Queen, to unleash the new Borg Cube with synths that the Jatvash created with super sophisticated advanced Borg parts. And they're going to launch an attack on the Federation. And what will happen in the end is that Picard, the Federation, and all the displaced Romulans will all team up to defeat the Borg Cube and the Destroyer blow it up, and then say the universe is a better place without borders. To fall in line with their political angle, and they're going to disavow all space of territories in space.
Okay.
That will be the conclusion, and Picard will end up being the man who leads the Alpha Quadrant into a new, bright future of cooperation and respect and love.
The great Saint Picard.
Okay. I have no response to this. I literally have no response to that.
Rich, we're talking about things. What time is it?
I think my brain is numb. Where in all that, Mike, was the more nuanced exploration of Picard's character?
Oh, that's...
Where was that? Where was that?
Picard, where... Do you remember the ice skating scene?
What?
Do you remember when...
No, I don't remember the ice skating scene. What scene?
Do you remember when the Romulan guy took Soji and said, we have to do a Borg ritual. And she's like, the Borg don't have rituals. He's like, come here, take your shoes off. Let's go in this ventilation shaft where it's slippery. And then they had a magical moment where they slid down the ventilation shaft.
I tune out every time they're on screen together. That whole side plot has just gone nowhere, and it adds nothing to the show. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with that. I don't know why they keep cutting away to it, other than they just need to keep reminding us that Soji exists.
I think that's it. Yeah.
It's terrible.
She's a MacGuffin, essentially.
Yeah.
He's going to fall in love with her, and he's going to say, Soji, no.
Yeah.
When she says, I can't resist my fate. And then she's going to go like this, or put her arms out, and scary music's going to swell, and all these Borg parts are going to start flying and attaching her. I can't resist my fate. Her voice will change to like that Borg.
And then she starts making everybody around her Borgs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then tentacles come out of her like fingernails.
No,
Romulans are becoming Borg.
His love is going to save her. Because when he does love her after all, he'll say, no, come back to us, or something.
She'll kill him.
She'll resist her Borg queeniness.
She'll turn him into a Borg.
She'll turn him into a Borg.
She's the bad guy that they got to blow up.
No, they're going to have to save her.
No.
They're not gonna blow her up.
Well, because she's Data's daughter?
Yeah.
Is Picard still gonna become Locutus? Is she gonna become Locutus?
He's too old to become Locutus.
Is Locutus gonna become Q? Is Q gonna become Data's cat? Is Riker gonna become Troy?
Have you lost your fucking mind? You're just...
10 forward. Phasers.
This show has made your brain
Scotty.
just start spewing nonsense. I can't even respond to anything you're saying because it's just, I don't know. It's just like the slop is coming out of your mouth.
I'm glad we talked about what happened on Mars with the androids because I still don't know.
The androids blew up Mars, which caused the Federation not to help the Romulans. What's to understand about that?
Do you remember when Picard went into the Romulan bar?
No response to that, huh?
Do you remember? Okay, so they had a security net around the planet. And,
yeah.
And then what's his face? Rios said, "Okay, Picard, you got 7 minutes till the next window opens to beam you up."
Copy that. Next window opens in 7 minutes.
That's when Picard decides to walk into that bar. He only had 7 minutes, but he decides to pick a fight.
For no reason, yes.
For no reason. He was mad about the sign.
Either he did it for no reason, which is really stupid, or he did it to start a fight so he can get Elrond to join him and behead somebody, which is just horrible.
No, he didn't do that. He was mad about the sign. He
was just being stupid and really non-Picard-like.
Let's not say stupid. Let's say impulsive.
Just like Captain Picard.
Right. Captain Picard is impulsive.
The most impulsive person in Star Trek, yes. He would have shaken his head.
But
he'd have been disappointed, but ultimately he would have known it's not wise to start a lot of trouble 7 minutes before you leave the planet.
Right. Well, maybe that is a good time to start a lot of trouble. my thing is, too, is Picard, he said, you have 7 minutes, Picard, and he goes and he starts a fight with Romulans, which turns into a sword duel, and then Elnor comes in and decapitates the guy.
Picard, ready for transport.
And then the Romulan's friend points a phaser at Elnor and says, the phaser beats your sword, motherfucker, and he's about to shoot him, and Picard says, beam up now!
The Tangalang is no match for a disruptor, sister boy.
Yes, now!
And then they know to beam up Elnor. He never even mentioned that.
Yes.
You could just say a random word from the English language.
French bread.
Hot air balloon.
Souffle.
Couscous.
Cellar door.
Tornado.
Nunchunk.
Biohazard kit.
Whiskey flask.
Garbage truck.
Bourbon.
Oh, I think you lost the game here.
Yeah?
You went from whiskey to bourbon.
that whole thing with the ancient Romulan warbird was just there for member berries. Like, they introduced the concept, and I'm like, oh, well, okay, I wonder what this character who has control of this ancient Romulan ship is. And they never show, like, who's captaining that ship. There's never, like, a scene where he's on the monitor, and they're talking to him, and he's saying, you've got to get out of Romulan space. And they know Picard's on the planet, and they got to buy time to the window opens so they can beam out Picard. No, it just shows up, and it just starts shooting at them.
Yeah. They say his name is Kar Katarg.
We're about to get a visit from Kar Kantar.
They're like, it's Kar Katarg, and he's coming in on the sensors very far away, and he's got a vintage Romulan warbird.
I was really waiting to see who this character was.
Why did he attack them?
I don't know.
And why did 7 of 9 try to save them?
I don't know. Well, they needed 7 or 9 to be a part of the show, so she just shows up in the least creative way possible. She just shows up.
She's technically a ranger, which is some kind of vigilante group that keeps the peace.
When I first heard 7 of 9 was going to be on the show, I totally expected her to be working at the Daystrom Institute. You know, using her intellect.
Rich. Let me tell you about a man named Alex Kurtzman. She's a vigilante warrior in space.
Picard still thinks there's a place in the galaxy for mercy.
She doesn't use her sophisticated mind, her knowledge of cybernetics. She blows people up.
And she's
angry. So she's part of a group called
the Rangers.
Rangers, because the neutral zone has collapsed and it's lawless. So she fights for truth and justice, being a ranger.
What does the neutral zone collapsing have anything to do with lawlessness? I'm kind of confused about that.
I don't know. Who cares? You got to get to ships blowing up.
Okay.
The neutral zone, of course, is the buffer between Romulan space and Federation space.
And why has the neutral zone collapsed unless the entirety of the Romulan government is now gone? But there is a Romulan reclamation project, so I'm presuming there is some sort of Romulan government that still exists, and they would still have all of the ships they had, and they would still want to police a border between them and the Federation.
No, because no. Burrito.
Oh, it's Kantar. Near miss. Hold on. Oh, it's Kantar. Near miss. Hold on.
I'd have really appreciated it if the show decided to be a little bit Star Trek for a moment and have a scene where they talk through a view screen. And we get to understand what, like, the character in the Warbird's motivation was.
All you need to do is just have the character in the Warbird come on screen and go, bloop. Ah, Captain Rios, you owe me money.
Maybe they could have actually given Rios something to do that episode. like a TV show.
Car Canar, you and your old Romulan warbird don't stand a chance for me and my hot rod spaceship. Oh, Rios, are you going to give me that money you owe me? I'm going to shoot you out of the stars. This conversation's over. Bloop.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
But you're right. Member Barry's old Romulan warbird looks good in a trailer. And then, yeah, 7 of 9 appears. They beam her over. I keep saying him as a little bait and switch, but we all knew it was going to be 7 of 9. And if she's not involved in the overarching Borg plot, then what the fuck? You'd think she would be integral in the Borg plot. But let's move on to the next episode.
Okay.
An unmitigated disaster.
Let's talk about Stardust City Rag.
Yes.
And this is where we've gone to Freewheel?
Freeboard?
Freeport. Freestyle? Freebase?
Free food?
So they go to this planet, right? Which is a planet of gambling and prostitution and secrets and hide your money.
Sure.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because they got wind that Bruce Maddox is there. Bruce Maddox is being held by a lady named Vaju.
Party named Vajazel is holding him.
Vagine?
Vajazel.
Vagine, who looks remarkably like a young Marina Sirtis.
Yeah, I was totally waiting for that to be her daughter.
She's an evil queen.
Crime lord, just some kind of crime lord.
Who steals Borg parts and sells them on the black market.
Yeah.
And she happens to find Bruce Maddox randomly and says, I'm going to drug you and just keep you around. Oh, he owes her money. He borrowed money to run his lab.
He goes to her because the Tal Shiar are after him.
Yes, and he says...
So are the Tal Shiar after him or the Dox Vaj?
But Bruce Maddox is there, and you're right, Agnes is a turncoat who murders Bruce Maddox because of what horrible secrets the head of Starfleet Security showed her.
Yes.
Which, for Agnes's sake...
Which I'm presuming is that Soji is potentially going to create a new Borg.
The Borg Queen to wipe out Earth.
Yeah.
And Bruce Maddox will only help that cause? Is the Tal Shiar or the Zhat Vash trying to get Bruce Maddox? I think so, right? So he could help create super Borgs?
Well,
remember when the show was about Picard?
You are under the assumption that the Vox-Jaj are
you have some kind of mental problem?
Yeah, I can't say Jacques Vaj. I can't say these nonsense names that all sound the same.
Zhat Vash.
Sure.
On the planet Vashti. The villainous Vashjabi.
Oh my god.
We're looking for Daj and Soji Aj
Picard,
on the planet Vashti.
New Star Trek has officially melted our brains. We're not even capable of having a coherent discussion about it anymore.
Anyways, you're right, Agnes kills Bruce Maddox. And I hope that the head of Starfleet Security, Commodore O, didn't just lie to her, because I think she's a secret robot who's working for the Zhat Vash, and she told her some lie, and then Agnes was stupid enough to kill her lover, Bruce Maddox, and then she's going to feel real bad about that later and have to shoot herself in the head with a phaser.
Well, that would be suitably dark enough.
Yeah. Or maybe she'll decapitate herself with Elnor's sword. Maybe she's a robot. She's probably a robot that Bruce Maddox made as his lover.
You're just literally saying anything.
That's what the show is, just throw anything out there. But, interesting note, I want to talk to you about something. The big takeaway from this episode is they murdered Icheb by ripping his eyeball out, the graphic violence.
Yeah.
And everyone's talking about that. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit here, because it was kind of disturbing and graphic and pointless, right? This lady who looks like a young Marina Sirtis runs a evil organization where ladies in white bodysuits drill out Borg parts from people that are former Borgs.
Yes.
And sell them potentially, I think, for profit?
Sell or study or something.
And they're so evil that they don't even use anesthesia.
Yes.
While it would probably be more efficient just to knock somebody out cold and drill into their head rather than having them squirm and scream in your face.
Fucking beam the parts out of them.
Sure.
But instead they have to literally rip his eyeball out of his socket.
Yeah, while he's awake
on camera,
and
while he's awake and screaming. Yeah.
Now that's a great way to make a villainous bad guy that you hate, right? Because that was 7 of 9's arc. 7 of 9 says, where are you guys going? Freeport? Freewheel?
It's fine. Free something. Free. It's free.
7 of 9 says, you guys are going to free? All right, you could drop me off there, whatever. And then they're like, oh, Bruce Maddox is being held by Vaginine, whatever her name is. And then she's like, Vaginine? I hate that bitch.
Her. She butchers ex-Borg for parts. She's been high on the Rangers' wanted list for years.
She's the one who killed...
Help me.
Listen to me.
Help me. Please, if you're out there, help me.
She's the one that killed Icheb, right?
Yes.
From Star Trek Voyager. I hate her. I'm all in on this mission, right? And then that, of course, that little plot line ends with 7 of 9 murdering her. And then, so it's like, why did we need such a horrible scene of graphic violence to build up to this villain that only lasted for 1 episode?
It's a fine episode of Farscape.
Stop talking about Farscape.
Farscape is a good show.
Who cares? It has Muppets in it.
I care.
Nobody wants Muppets. People want decapitations and eyeballs ripping out. Now, I saw a couple people on the internet say, I wonder if they used the same actor for Bruce Maddox, right?
Yeah.
They did not. I looked it up, right? The guy who played Bruce Maddox, I don't know if he acts anymore, but he looks like a dorky science teacher now, right? He doesn't look like a tortured genius cyberneticist kind of guy, right?
Yeah.
And maybe just doesn't want to act, but he doesn't look the part. And then I saw, did they use the same actor that played Icheb? And I was like, why wouldn't they? And then I saw one little comment that said Icheb said some weird political things, so that's why they didn't hire him. And that was one comment in millions, and I was like, what's that all about? So I looked into this. And then the scene of graphic violence against Icheb made much more sense.
Oh my God.
Okay, the actor's name is Manu Intiraymi. On October 29th, 2017, Star Trek Discovery actor Anthony Rapp, oh, this is a petition, by the way, to keep this guy who played Icheb off the Star Trek cruise. Star Trek Discovery actor Anthony Rapp came forward with an account of sexual abuse by a famous non-Trek actor when he was only 14 years old. Of course, they're talking about when Kevin Spacey was like, I don't know, 25 or something, okay. 30 or something, and Anthony Rapp was 14, and he climbed on him, or he tried to make a move on him, right? Which, of course, we can all agree is awful.
It's horrible.
These kind of actions are never okay, whether the victim be a child or an adult, whatever gender, famous or otherwise. We in the Star Trek community stand by Anthony as he publicly faces this difficult situation. So, in short, this actor used his Twitter account to ridicule Anthony using cruel and vile language. Manu went on a tweet storm against Anthony, calling him a whiner and writing off the account as, quote, liberal nonsense and worse. Please consider signing this petition to show convention organizers and Roddenberry Entertainment that we as fans do not wish for Manu to be included in any future conventions. So, you know, clearly Manu was wrong to attack Anthony Rapp and to say all those horrible things about him.
Sure.
But it became oh so clear why they ripped out Icheb's eyeball and then shot him in the heart with a phaser. made it crystal clear why the writers of Star Trek Discovery, who also write for Star Trek Picard, decided to viciously
gouge his eyeball out.
Murder. Yeah. Is it weird that like a real life political situation with the actor himself is being portrayed as the victim of a violent murder? Does it seem a little, again, don't agree with him. There's something a little weird about it. It's almost like an effigy, right? In a strange way, it's like an effigy.
Kill them with kindness.
That could be the case, yes. But
it's a working theory.
I think they just wanted an excuse for 7 of 9 to run around being a violent, murderous vigilante.
I just found it interesting because I looked into why they didn't get the original Icheb to play that part, and or why that scene even had to happen. Why that whole arc of 7 of 9, I guess it's like anything, you start pulling the strings out and the whole thing unravels. But why did 7 of 9 have to get revenge on the Marina Sirtis character?
Because she can't have a pleasant job at the Daystrom Institute where Picard comes to her for advice on a personal matter. She's got to run around with 2 giant phaser rifles shooting everybody in the room.
See, a way to handle
like seven of 9's quest to find her humanity ends with her being a violent psychopath.
Oh, Captain Jane would be so proud of all the lessons. Do you remember when she tricked Picard at the end of the episode?
Yeah.
She's like, you're right, Picard. I shouldn't vaporize this bitch. I'll leave it be. And then she goes up on the ship and she's like, oh, just leave me down there, back on the planet. By the way, can I borrow 2 giant phaser guns?
But I will take 2 of your phasers, if that's all right. The vigilante could always use a couple more.
I could use them in the future. And Picard's like, sure, because he's stupid now. Sure. You're not going to go shoot up that place.
I think Picard understood at the end, but he just went with it anyway because he just gave up. I think that's what happened.
Well, that's wonderful.
Like, yeah, well, that's why this isn't Star Trek.
I failed you all.
But here's a better way to do it, right? You say, it's Icheb. Icheb, it's me, 7 of 9. I'm on my way. Hurry, 7 of 9. They're going to rip out my cortical implants. Hurry, hurry. And then here comes the lady with the thing, and the shadow goes over Icheb. And then 7 of 9 kicks the door open, and Icheb has passed on.
Yeah.
And she says, I'm too late. And then also, you know, a lot of people defended that scene, saying there has been violence in Star Trek, right? There has been lots of violence in Star Trek, as this collection of clips will show you. Now, when you have a really violent scene, right, it's to make you hate that villain, like Khan, right?
Uh-huh.
Remember what Khan did to Chekhov? Put a slug in his ear, and then he put the slug in the ear of the captain of the other ship.
He slaughtered the entire crew on that one space station.
Killed the crew on the space station, and then that captain vaporized himself. because he wanted to die. He was in such pain. So this is pretty graphic stuff.
Yeah.
But that's to make you hate Khan. Did we need that graphic violence in order to hate this lady who existed in the show for 4 minutes? Right?
Right.
So that little plot line with 7 of 9 is done. She got her vengeance and continued on her merry way. What was the point?
To rip somebody's eye out on screen. I don't know why you can't understand this. You keep wanting this to be not what it is. You can't. You're right now. You're in the denial stage of grief, or you're bargaining. You're kind of in bargaining. Like, why are they doing that? Can't you? Can't they? They're not.
Are you in acceptance?
I mean, oh yeah, I got there a while ago. It's been dead for a while now, and I'm okay. I've moved on. I am only here because this man keeps dragging me back.
Now, you said you enjoyed this episode where everyone dressed up in Halloween costumes.
I enjoyed watching Patrick Stewart ham it up. Absolutely pure 100% ham with an eye patch on, acting like a villain out of Get Smart. He had a lot of fun acting like a Get Smart villain for an episode. I am the bad guy!
Once they get the Borg inside them, there is no coming back, no matter what they think. Defiled is what you are. Damned, cursed.
Ooh, I have an eye patch!
It's a free planet.
Do you remember that time when Captain Picard was drunk in 10 Forward and he was singing like sailor songs with the crew?
Come cheer up, my lads, 'tis to glory we steer, to find something new in this wonderful year. To honor we call you as free men of slaves, for who are so free as the sons of the waves.
And he's like, oh, da, da, da. That's because that wasn't Captain Picard. It was a replacement that an alien put there who had no idea what that's what that felt like. Captain Picard has never done a wacky accent.
They don't care! They don't give a shit! Mike, we are the only people that care anymore.
Do you remember that?
Picard is the guy who does this.
Do you remember?
This is Captain Picard's character now for like 2 generations. We're fucking old.
A British tar is a soaring soul, as free as a mountain bird. His energetic fist should be ready to resist a dictatorial word. Sing, Wolf, sing.
He's the guy who does this, and fucking Patrick Stewart wants to put on an eye patch and dance around an alien bar. Go ahead, motherfucker. We'll write that in.
I hearken back to a wonderful little moment on Star Trek.
Patrick Picard wants to ride a dune buggy? Fuck yeah, here's dune buggy.
Do you remember?
That's how much respect they have for the franchise.
All I'm trying to say is Captain Picard would not do a wacky accent.
No, of course he wouldn't. Of course Captain Picard would. Captain Picard isn't here.
He's not there.
He's not here. It's all an illusion.
There was a wonderful moment in Star Trek: The Next Generation that was very, very. It was a very self-aware moment. It was a wink-wink to the camera when Beverly Crusher tries to get Jean-Luc to be in her stupid play that she puts on in 10 Forward, and Picard's like, nope, and then he says, I'm not much of an actor.
It's a very intriguing drama, but I really don't have the time it would take to learn a part. And anyway, I'm not much of an actor.
Now that's the kind of talk that I like. But one last thing. I need proof that my bounty is alive. I need to see Maddox.
Now here he is dressing up in a wacky costume, doing an accent. Why did he even come down to the planet? What were they?
Because the show has his name on it.
They sent down the ninja? He came down too, right?
Because he had to.
Agnes stayed behind on the ship. The captain of the ship, Rios, put on a pimp costume and went down.
A comical pimp costume, yes. In the same episode where Ichim's eyeball got ripped out.
Do you think Rios, whose sole purpose was hired as a guy to fly a ship around, why did he agree to be involved in this dangerous extraction scheme?
He respects Captain Picard.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. He respects Captain Picard. And everything Picard has done for his entire life.
Why did Picard go down on this mission?
Because he wants to save Soji, and he's got to be personally involved.
You just have an answer for everything. Why does he want to save Soji? Because he thinks she's Data's daughter?
Because he can't get over Data.
And why is that? Do you remember Icheb? Okay.
Yes, I remember when his eyeball got ripped out on camera.
I get that they violently murdered Icheb because of what the actor had said in real life. I get that. It's a little sick. It's a little disturbing, but that's fine. But what about poor Icheb? Icheb, for those of you who don't know, in Star Trek Voyager, there's a Borg vessel that has 5 children on it, 4 children. There's Icheb, there's 2 twin boys and a little girl. So it's 4 children, I think. There might have been 5, I don't fucking remember. But Icheb was the older one. He was like 13, 14, right?
Yeah.
And then they take them all on board and they take off their Borg parts, and 7 of 9 kind of becomes the matriarch and handles their growing up and helps them and whatnot. And she becomes close with Icheb. Because Icheb's very smart and, you know, and blah, 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 and then almost like his mother. And then towards the end of Voyager, they're getting ready to wrap up the show, and they're like, hey, to the twins, we found your home planet. You want to go reunite with your family? And they're like, yay! And they go off. And then they're like, Icheb, we found your parents. And Icheb's like,
We've located your parents. Voyager is due to arrive at their planet tomorrow.
Do I have to stay with them?
They're your parents.
do you remember this?
I actually don't, but I'll say yes.
And then 7 of 9 says, let's take you down to your parents' planet, right? And it's like this, it's like the Romulan camp. It's like dirty and they're poor and their technology fails and they live in like shacks and they're like, we love our son, leave him here with us. And 7 of 9's like, not sure about this. Fine, I guess. And Icheb's like, I don't want to, you know, they have to do crops, right? Because they're that, you know, and he's like, I'm like a brilliant genius. I don't want to just plant crops, you know. I don't want to be here. And they're like, you got to stay with your parents, Icheb, bye. And then Voyager leaves. And then 7 of 9's like, something's weird about that. And then we discover that Icheb's parents have problems with the Borg constantly attacking them. So they plant a virus inside Icheb, knock him out, and put him in a space coffin to shoot him at the Borg so that the Borg assimilate him again, and Icheb unleashes a deadly virus into the Borg.
I vaguely remember this.
And 7 of 9 says, oh my God, let's go back and get him. And the Voyager goes back. They get Icheb just in time.
5, top, go to work on my mark. 3.
All hands, brace for impact.
And then they escape from the Borg and they say, fuck all y'all down on the planet. You deal with the Borg. That was pretty shitty. And then they leave. And Icheb says, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that didn't happen to me. Take me back to the Alpha Quadrant. I want to join Starfleet to have a peaceful life where I'm a happy young man serving on, oh my God, my eyeball got ripped off. Stay in the Delta Quadrant, Icheb.
This is what grief looks like.
I guess we'll just wrap up here by saying, what do you think? How do you think this is going to end? Because you're pretty good at these predictions.
I think I'm pretty much where I left off last time. I think that it's going to end with what's her face, Soji. She's going to start potentially becoming the next Borg queen, and then no, I came here to save her. I'm going to have to maybe kill her, but then something's going to happen where, no, you've got the good inside you. You've got Data inside you, and then, oh yeah, and then she doesn't make the Borg after all, but then they have to blow up someone else because it's an action show. So they're probably going to have to blow up the brother and the sister when they take over the cube themselves.
They just grab the controls.
They're just going to grab the controls after everyone else on the ship has been murdered violently. All of the other Romulans and workers are murdered violently, and then the brother and sister are they're gonna be actually in there. It's gonna be a cockpit in the Romulan artifact that they're gonna be steering around that cube, chasing after Rios' ship, firing lasers at it.
Do you think Riker and Troy are slated to show up?
We've seen them in like previews.
In previews,
haven't we?
Yeah, we haven't gotten to their episode yet. Right?
It's gonna have to be a flashback at this point because we've already left Earth. I don't think we're going back. I don't think we're going back to Earth.
Why not?
Because we spent 4 episodes there already, and dear God, I hope we don't go back.
I think Picard's going to go back and say, Riker, help me out. And Riker's going to say, I can't. And then at the end, he's going to show up with the Titan and go, I pulled a few strings. And then his ship's going to start shooting lasers and blowing things up.
How do you feel if you're Raffi? Picard, like in that early episodes, Picard was like, I can't ask Riker or Worf to help me. They're my good friends. Raffi, would you help me on my mission? How do you feel if you're Raffi and you hear that?
In all actuality, what'd she have to live for? She was living in a trailer by Vasquez Rocks. Didn't you like the part when they go to Free Cloud? That's it.
Oh, Free Cloud!
Free Cloud.
It's Free Cloud.
It's in there. Do you like the part when they go to Free Cloud, right? And for some reason, all the advertisements are tailor-made for each character. And I don't know how they knew that. Picard's like, come sip, there's like cartoon characters, come sip tea with me at this fancy hotel. And then the Agnes's is like, we like robots. And then hers is like, you want some drugs? And she's like, how fucking rude.
How'd you feel about the subplot with her and her son?
Oh, it happened and then it ended with absolutely no point.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
She's like, my son is on Free Cloud. She goes and visits her son. Oh, we're at a fertility clinic and my Romulan wife is having a baby. And he's like, Mom, I hate you. And she's like, okay, bye. And then it ended.
It was kind of confusing on, like, is he angry at her because of drugs? Or is he angry at her because she wouldn't give up on her little Mars conspiracy theories?
Both?
Is she on drugs because of the Martian conspiracy theories? Is that?
Because her life spiraled out of control, so she had to smoke some kind of snake plant or something, some snake flower.
Oh, I thought.
And her vape.
I thought the Earth and the Federation. I thought they had like those kind of social problems taken care of. I didn't think drugs were an issue.
It's all back.
It's all back. It's all back, baby.
It's all back, baby.
We got them fancy space drugs now.
Yeah, all the problems of the 21st century are all back. Poverty, drugs, crime, homelessness, rape, murder, racism, corruption, greed, homophobia. Do you think diarrhea is a problem in this new Star Trek future?
Oh, God, it's all over the place. We haven't gotten to the diarrhea episode yet.
Where everyone shits their pants if they're having bad replicator, a malfunction. See, that would be a great episode. The replicator malfunctions on the Enterprise, right?
Gives everyone diarrhea.
And everyone has the runs, and there's like some kind of like crisis happening. like unrelated crisis, but everyone keeps having to run to the bathroom. Dr. Crusher works on a anti-diarrhea medicine.
Shit's clogging up the warp core.
Yeah, it actually eventually gets rerouted to like the plasma-induced injectors.
It's not fair, Doc.
And it's like, yeah, you see like just brown sludge coming down the tube into the warp core. Dr. Crusher's working on a cure for this nasty, nasty stomach bug.
God damn it.
And Picard says, "Number 1, I have to go number 2.
What happened to the dog?
Yeah. Grounded up for fertilizer. Who gives a fuck? Anyways, that's all the time we have for today.
Oh, thank God.
The next episode, they go to the Borg cube, and something's going to happen where Picard is going to do something on that Borg cube. He's going to figure out that plot and stop them, stop those bad guys. Rich? Jay? Jay, are you still here? Will someone talk to me about Star Trek Picard? Anybody? Hello? Rich? Jay? Will anybody talk to me about Star Trek Picard? Maybe Macaulay Culkin will. He'll talk to me about Star Trek Picard.